Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Before we get started, I want to give a huge thank you to Frontier for giving me early access and for providing the brand new Toybox Pack. I really appreciate the opportunity to jump in early and explore everything this DLC has to offer. This pack comes with a bunch of new features and building pieces that really open up a whole new style for Planet Coaster 2. We've got bright colorful toy-inspired scenery, craft-themed decorations, new interactive pieces, and a whole building set that feels incredibly fun to play with. For today's build, we are creating something special, the Imagination Workshop. This is a fully themed storefront with its own interior, inspired by toys, crafts, and the playful style of the new Toybox Pack. It's bright, it's whimsical, and it fits perfectly into a kids area or creative land inside your park. Let's get into it. But first, let's start by building the facade for our wacky little workshop here. We're beginning with the same plaster base piece I always use, because it gives us the texture and flexibility we need for this kind of build. It's simple, but it works perfectly as a foundation. From here, I really wanted to challenge myself to use as many pieces from the new Toybox Pack as possible, just to show you how versatile these pieces actually are. A lot of them look very toy-like at first glance, but once you start experimenting, you'll see they can be used for so many different things than what they were originally intended for. So yes, we're building the facade first, and the very first toy box piece we're using is the toy wooden block. This piece actually scales all the way down to 50%, and some of them even go down to 20%, depending on the variant. I love the texture on these blocks, so you're going to see me using them a lot in this video, especially later on when we add more detailed elements. For the first couple of minutes here, you'll see me placing these blocks over and over as we shape the facade. I'm basically using them brick textures, mixing them with pillar pieces, trims, and a nice arch to tie everything together. I'm also switching the colors around to keep that playful toy box vibe, and honestly, the colors really pop once everything starts coming together. We'll be doing some custom windows as well, which you'll see a little later, but for now, I'm just focusing on getting the structure right. Here you can see me placing the very first crayon craft piece from the new pack. This one sits right on the exterior of the building, and I love how the bright color instantly gives the workshop more personality. You'll also see me use a couple of pieces from the festive theme here and there, but not too many. Today is really all about the Toybox Pack. So as you can see, we're going full speed with the toy wooden block, which actually comes with a bunch of different variants. In the video, you'll see me quickly scroll through a few of the new pieces we've gotten with this pack. Between the Toybox Pack and the returning festive items, we now have over 450 new pieces. So there's definitely a lot to play with in this update and DLC. And honestly, I'm just really thankful that Frontier keeps supporting the game and giving us so much free content alongside these packs. Back to the build though. Here I'm starting to work on the custom showcase windows. I really wanted these to feel like proper display windows you will see on a themed main street or in a kids area in a park. So we're adding glass, and behind the glass we'll place some souvenir pieces and small decorations using the brand new Toybox props. We'll have one of these windows on each side of the building to create some symmetry and balance. Next, we start bringing in more details. I'm actually using the Toy City skyscraper wall trim here, which is such a fun piece. If you use it carefully and maybe pair it with other textures, you can almost hide the more plastic toy-like surface it has. It blends surprisingly well with more grounded materials. Now moving up to the top of the building, I wanted to create a little extension in the center. This is where our sign will eventually go. And this is also where we'll add some fun moving elements. We're using a lot of rotation arms in today's video, and I had so much fun experimenting with them. You'll see exactly how those animations bring the whole facade to life. But before we get to that, we're finishing up the archway where the main door will be. And then yes, we're going full interior today. We'll get to that later. For now though, let's keep shaping that center extension. As you can see, it's starting to come together really nicely, and we're just trimming everything out and making room for the windows on each side which will look a little different from the main displays. So to get a little more detail onto the walls here, you can see I'm carving out these window shapes in a way that lets us display some items underneath them. This specific window is going to be draped with curtains later, and I'm also covering up a few things behind it so you won't really see inside from that angle. But from the outside, it gives the whole facade a much more inviting look. That soft draped curtain vibe really sells the idea of a cozy workshop. On the right side, we're going to add some animatronic parts as well. And that's going to give the building that super playful, wacky personality that fits the Toybox theme so well. But before we get to that part, I'm bringing in a few more decorative elements. Little clouds, stars, and some of the other pieces from the pack. Honestly, it's really fun experimenting with these, because a lot of the pieces I'm using here are things I've barely touched before. The stars, the moon. All these craft theme shapes actually works extremely well with this style if you place them intentionally. Now, as you can see on screen, I'm also using another Toybox piece, the Toy City Skyscraper wall set. And surprisingly, it works great as a triangular roof piece. If you pair it with materials that don't have that strong plastic texture, you can blend it in really nicely and almost hide the toy-like surface. I think this is a perfect example of how versatile these pieces are, and you can see exactly how well right here in the build. I'm trying to add a bit more decoration using the new pieces here, for example, the cloud. And right after that, I want to start working with those animated motion pieces I mentioned earlier. So that's what you're seeing me do now. I found this super cool piece called the Toy City Skyscraper arm, and if you place it just right, it basically works like a propeller. I absolutely love that. It's such a simple piece, but when you rotate it in the right direction and line it up, it becomes this fun little animated feature that adds so much life to the facade. And remember, if you're using these animated parts, make sure to click Attach Scenery and position the piece inside the attachment square. That helps avoid weird rotations or snapping issues, and once everything is lined up and connected properly, it blends straight into the wall and it already gives the building a super playful look. I really dig how fun that feels. Moving on to the next section, I'm adding in a cogwheel to get even more movement happening toward the center of the build. Here I'm also adding some hanging moons and stars, and I think those give the facade a nice extra touch. It feels whimsical, almost like everything is floating on little ropes. Adding a few stars as accent pieces really helps sell that magical, wonky, playful look we're going for. So once we're done theming the first section of the front facade, I move on to creating a custom sign. We don't really have a pre-made sign that bends or curves in the way I want it, something with that playful shape that fits the vibe of this workshop. So of course, that meant making my own. I'm using the toy wooden block again and scaling it all the way down, and from there I'm shaping it into this nice bendy form that gives us the exact look I'm going for. It just works so much better for the lettering I wanted to add. The sign is going to say Imagination Workshop, and I'm using the new fonts as well, which honestly works so well here. They behave almost like decals, they sit perfectly inside the shape you place them on, and that adds so much polish to the build. And I have to say, I am not disappointed by this pack at all. In the beginning, I definitely thought this was going to be a challenging theme to work with, but after spending a week experimenting and practicing before the DLC release, I've gotten really comfortable with it. These pieces are actually pretty great, and you can use them for way more than you expect if you allow yourself to be creative. So yeah, I think we're doing pretty good with this one. I found this little awning crayon piece which I thought was super cute, so I added it above the display area and it worked perfectly. After that, I started placing some of the new props inside the window, mixing Toybox pieces with a few items from other themes in the game. And of course, we add the glass panels to finish everything off and give it that clean, polished storefront look. Once the first display window is finished, I duplicate the whole thing to the other side and recreate a similar setup, just using different props so the two sides feel related but not identical. I don't know, I just feel like I was missing some more awning variations, so I decided to go ahead and make my own. I'm using the rectangle basic shape and the half circle piece to get that little folded look. and then I duplicate it and change up the colors. And honestly, it works so well. It adds so much charm to the build. As soon as the awnings went on, the whole facade instantly felt more playful. The colors pull everything together and give this warm, welcoming atmosphere. Of course, we need something to support the canopies, so I'm adding a few pieces from the pack to hold the awnings up. And for the door, I went back to the townhouse door. My original plan was to make a custom door, but I got so wrapped up in all this detailing that I completely forgot to change it. But honestly, I still think the door works great here. You can also see that I've draped curtains into the left showcase window, and now we're working on the right one. This one is a little more playful. I'm using an animatronic that waves, and then I add this little raccoon on a motion arm to bring even more personality into the window. It gives that silly, wacky charm that fits the Toybox theme really well. And of course, we're not stopping here. I wanted the facade to feel like it had a bit of life to it. So I'm adding these wonky pipes that run in and out of the building. Some of them have smoke or FX effects attached, including this little dust trail effect, which honestly cracks me up because it just makes the pipes feel like they're puffing and wheezing like a workshop that shouldn't really exist, but somehow does. Again, it's all about making the facade feel a bit weird, a bit whimsical, and totally out of the ordinary. As you can see, I'm just filling in more details, adding all these pipes, which are also part of the new pack, by the way. So I'm adding some lights out front here, and they're also part of the new Toybox pack. We actually got a few new lights and lampposts, and they're really cool. They have had that playful style that fits perfectly with this theme. The last little detail I'm adding to the facade is the bell. And with that in place, we are finally getting ready to move inside and start on the interior. But before heading in, I felt like the outside needed just a bit of foliage, a little greenery on the left and right to soften things up. I also added another pipe on the side because the workshop just felt like it needed one more little mechanical detail over there. And to finish that pipe off, I used the Western rustic chimney piece, which actually blends really nicely and completes the look. Alright, now we're moving into the interior. I had already done a tiny bit of work here off camera, mainly because it looked absolutely chaotic behind the walls before I cleaned it up. Trust me, you did not want to see that. But basically, we're turning this space into a small souvenir shop. Almost like an open workshop classroom where kids can play and build their own little robots. That's the vibe I'm going for. So I'm adding some moving elements to the walls to keep that whimsical energy going, and then I'm slowly placing pieces here and there, using a mix of base game items and some of the new Toybox pieces. And honestly, I really like how this interior is coming together. The walls, the decorations, the moons, the stars, everything just works so well when it's all placed intentionally. The whole room feels cohesive, magical, and super charming once all the pieces land in the right spots. Okay, so now it gets really interesting, because this is the part where I wanted to create a sort of a cabinet. Almost like a little show build podium where you would see some of the robots you can build inside the workshop. And this works perfectly because we actually got a brand new robot animatronic with this pack. So those are the ones displayed here as if they're the models you could assemble in this classroom style space. Basically, this cabinet is meant to feel a bit like a market stand or a mini workshop table. I felt like that look worked really well, and it adds another layer of playfulness to the room. On top of that, I'm building a glass display case where we can put some of the robot parts, so it all ties together and actually makes sense in the storytelling of the building. So here I'm doing the framework, adding trims, placing the glass pieces, and once everything is in, it looks super clean and really believable. And of course, we're adding plenty of decorations on the walls, because we don't want any empty or boring surfaces. This is supposed to be a kid's store, after all, so the wall should feel fun and full of things to look at. And after finishing the cabinet on this side, we're duplicating the entire setup to the opposite wall, so the interior is symmetrical and balanced. Then we continue theming all the way around the room, so no wall is left bare. Everything ties in together and feels intentional. So on this side of the shop, we are once again using the toy wooden block to make this really nice archway that sinks into the wall. Inside that arch, I wanted to add some props and assets, basically items you would be able to buy in the shop. Even though they're static displays here, Later on, we'll eventually add actual stands where guests can purchase things, but for now, this is just a decorative feature that helps sell the idea of a functioning workshop themed store. I'm also using the soldier puppet from the festive set again, just as a fun little character piece. I thought he fit perfectly into this type of build, and it adds a bit of charm and personality to the corner. Then we're placing some shelves and filling them with clutter, little props, pieces from different themes, and of course, some of the new Toybox items. It all just helps make the space feel lived in and cozy. After finishing that, we duplicate the whole structure over to the left, everything consistent and balanced. And once that's in place, we're moving on to one of my favorite parts, adding the brick flooring. I absolutely love how this flooring looks in interiors like this. It feels warm, it feels grounded, and is such a great addition to the shop. So now we're moving into what I think is the coolest part of this whole interior. The piece that really divides the space and gives the store its identity. We're building a podium, and not just any podium, a rotating one. But first, I'm building the outer circle, which is just a static ring where we're placing all the new action figures. Behind them, I'm adding one of the jigsaw style boxes so it looks like the packaging for the toys, and honestly, it works pretty well. I really love how this part turned out. Working with these moving platforms was surprisingly fun, and once I started placing pieces around them, everything just clicked into place. One idea led to another, and the whole setup ended up looking super cool. After that, I'm placing the big action figure, the robot you can build in the store, right on top of the rotating podium. It becomes the centerpiece of the whole room, and it really sells the idea of this being a workshop where creativity comes to life. From here, it's all about finishing touches. I'm decorating the remaining wall space with crayons, adding some shop covers, and placing souvenir work blocks just to bring a little extra detail and storytelling into the area. Now toward the end here, I actually built the dome above the room as well, but that part was very trial and error, and it went so fast that I completely forgot to hit record. It was one of those thinking process builds where you just zone out and create, but it came together nicely, and now we can add some lamps around the dome and finish up the lighting. I'm placing a central ceiling lamp too, just to tie everything together, and with that done, we're ready to move on to the cinematics. And there we have it, the full imagination workshop brought to life with the brand new Toybox Pack. From the wacky playful facade to the rotating podium inside, the custom displays, the robot parts, the handcrafted awnings, everything in here just came together so nicely. I honestly had such a fun time building this, and I think the pack adds a ton of charm and personality to Planet Coaster 2. The Toybox Pack is colorful, creative, and honestly way more versatile than I expected. There are so many props, shapes, textures, and animated pieces in here, and once you start experimenting, it becomes clear that you can use them for a lot more than just toy-themed builds. I really think this is a great pack, and if you enjoy creative building or want something playful for your parks, you should absolutely consider picking it up. Before we end the video, I want to hear from you guys too. What kind of videos do you want to see in the future when it comes to DLC or update content? Do you prefer these build-focused videos where we create something together? Or do you want more overview style videos, maybe a full look through the new pieces or even a proper review after I've tested everything out? Let me know in the comments, because your feedback helps shape how I cover these packs going forward. If you enjoyed today's build, remember to leave a like, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more Planet Coaster 2 content, tutorials, and of course, more builds like this one. Thank you so much for watching, I appreciate all of you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.